important area, the development of the lung. It's not difficult at all because most of the information or the background you have already in terms of understanding what is endoderm, because you know by now the lung is coming from the endoderm. Its development is a story, but it is very interesting at the same time because of the fact that the embryo does not breathe to the lung, right? It does not, but it survives. And how it's surviving? Because of the blood circulation, oxygen circulation from the mother. Okay, and it is functional only at birth. So lung takes a little longer time to develop because we don't need the lung development on the day 1 or 3rd week or 4th week or 5th week. It is actually almost ready for the function. I'm talking about around 26 to 28 weeks. In other words, just think about it. If a baby is born prior to that, okay? Prior to that, the premature baby, or often we call premature baby, means accidentally or probably some accident or maybe some infection, some other reason, the baby comes out. Now baby comes out, if the lung is not ready, then the baby will die. So we say that the baby, if the baby cannot stay in the uterus, we say just hang on a little bit, come out after 28 weeks. The reason is by that time the lung is ready to expand. Do you understand what I'm saying? If the baby comes out early, then the stage is not there. The lung should look like this on both sides, but the lung is not looking like this. Baby wants to come out, it does not walk. The baby will die, has to die. So it's problematic. So remember that fact, okay? That's a critical, the mass should be there. And I'm coming to that a little later. The thing that you are supposed to know today, that I have two objectives. One is the development of the lung, and the second part I'll be talking about the development of the diaphragm. Okay? Now, I'll be only talking and some diagram and some other things. That's normally I do it, but don't misunderstand. The next class, I'll show you all the PowerPoint. Not today. There's no PowerPoint today, although it is already uploaded. But you just go tonight and see and be ready. Next time when I come back, I'll show you step by step all the PowerPoints that you have and supposed to know. Is that clear? So today I'm giving you a kind of preamble, kind of orientation of how their lung develop. You have to remember a couple of points over here, that the lung develops from the endoderm near the pharyngeal area. You know what is the pharynx? This area is called the pharynx. So those arches, remember those arch, pharyngeal arch. So the pharynx, in the middle part, all of a sudden there is a diverticulum, which is called the laryngotracheal diverticulum, which is meaning that if this is the endoderm, all of a sudden there is a little hole over here, diverticulum. So something which is coming and goes down, that's called diverticulum. Something is going down. Okay? That going down is called the laryngotracheal, because that will be the place, the starting point of the larynx, which will be continuous with the trachea. Is that okay? So if I draw it, laryngotracheal diverticulum is not difficult to understand. It is like this. If I remove it, that was the floor of the pharynx. But all of a sudden, there is a diverticulum which is coming over here. Is that okay? That's called the laryngotracheal diverticulum, or the future larynx and the trachea. From there, from the trachea, all of a sudden there will be a ridge, and that ridge is called tracheoesophageal ridge, which means that this will be now continuous with the two part now, which will be joined over there. A ridge is formed. So I'll draw first a ridge, means that's a ridge. Then it will grow a little bit this way, and this will be growing this way. So now you understand what is happening. This ridge over here, ridge means it is a proliferation of the cells, ridge. It is not smooth. Suddenly it is ridge. So the ridge is called tracheoesophageal, means one will be the trachea, the trachea over here, and another will be the esophagus, which is coming, and then it will be forming the stomach and all kind of things. But this one, I use a different color now. This one is your future lung development. So here is the lung, here is the lung. And this is the diaphragm over here. So it's a nice diagram showing you everything. So the origin is not very difficult for you to understand. Remember the word endoderm. That's what I wrote at the beginning over here. At the outside, you must know it is coming from the endoderm. So you can correlate the fact that the organs which are coming from the GI system, like the esophagus, like the stomach, like the duodenum, along with that, also the lung is developed. And we did it already. We did it already. Right? Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm repeating again. What I'm saying is around 4th week, the development starts. 4th week. Most of the organs are developed between the 4 and the 8 weeks. That's the critical time, critical period. Okay? And the mother can be exposed to some viruses. And if I ask that which is responsible, he said, well, you never said that the patent ductus arteriosus is a very problematic one in relation to some of the viruses. Okay? So many things can happen. The drug, the diet, the radiation, okay, and some viruses, all kind of same bacteria can create a problem to the baby, because mother could be exposed during that time, between the 3rd week to 8 weeks, we call it the critical period. So lung development is not exceptional. There could be a problematic lung, and we'll come to that later, not now. Just try to understand how the lung is developed. So one more time, the lung is developed from the pharynx, the floor of the pharynx, and what happens is around 4th week, all of a sudden there is a little dent. There is a little dent over here we call laryngotracheal diverticulum. When it's going down, it forms a ridge. It's not smooth, all of a sudden ridge, and the ridge is going on 2 directions. One direction towards the esophagus, the stomach, duodenum. It's also coming from the the endoderm. The other one is forming the bronchus and the and other thing, bronchioles and the alveolus and etc. So becoming the lung. Good? Okay. So these are the things. Now, I wrote on the right side, I hope everybody can see it. If not, my PowerPoint is there. I'll repeat the word, what I'm saying. How does it look like initially? So I take this thing out, because you understood it, and try to draw how does it look like first appearance of the lung. I'm strictly talking about the lung, not the esophagus part, because that is the GI system. We talked about that. But for the lung, the first stage we call pseudoglandular stage. What does it mean? Pseudo means false. It is not a gland. It looks like a gland at that time. So I'm strictly drawing now, say, the lung, which is coming from this. And this is not a tube. A tube, but without any hole inside. It's a solid. And if there is a little growth over there, so it looks like a gland over here, but it is not a gland. It's called the pseudoglandular stage. Initially it is like this, pseudogland. So what happens that, so baby is drinking, remember what is drinking is called amniotic fluid. It's drinking, but it is not helping at this stage very much for the lungs to expand. Unless it comes to the next stage, which is called canalicular stage. Canalicular means then there will be a canal is formed over there. So now in my diagram, I'm just putting a little, now you can see that it is coming like this. This is very critical, because now the amniotic fluid is going inside, and therefore it will allow to expand the lung completely. And remember the fact that if the mother has oligohydramnios, if there is a kidney problem, if the mother cannot not the mother, I'm sorry, the baby. Baby cannot produce the urine properly because of the kidney problem. There will be oligohydramnias, and that will lead to the lung problem of the lungs too. The lung cannot expand because the fluid is not coming. There is less fluid, which is called oligohydramnias. We have done that earlier. And that is usually associated with the kidney problem of the baby. And the renal system is coming up, so we'll talk about that how the renal system could be affected in embryonic life. Okay, so we understand that the next stage is canonicular stage. I call that canonicular stage is between the 16 to 26 weeks, is very critical. 16 to 26 weeks is very critical, because if that does not happen, the lung cannot develop properly. And the lung is about to be functional. It is not functional in the embryonic state, but it can take the oxygen because it is hollow by that time, and it is ready, is called the terminal sac, which is around 26 weeks. I tell you again, this is a very favorite question for me. When does that happen? It is around 2. Why is important? Because at that stage, if the baby is born prematurely, can survive because of the newer technology we have, the incubator. Have you heard the name incubator? So the baby is born premature, delivery is there, but because of the incubator, the things can work very well. And finally, I put it alveolar stage. Alveolar stage means that this will be now going into alveolar stage, which is more alveolar. I don't know whether you have done the alveolar yet. You have not done that. The histology? Not done. I think Dr. Zafar is going to probably this week, he's going to talk about that. But there is something called alveolar. You are not, don't tell me that, you are not familiar with what is alveolar. I'll be surprised. Alveolar is the space where the exchange is going on. And there are two kinds of cells over there. Remember that one cell, all are the simple squamous epithelium, because you don't need a columnar or anything. You want the gas exchange to be as minimal as possible. Here is the oxygen, and here is the venous blood. Oxygen means lung, and venous blood means deoxygenated blood, carbon dioxide. So here is the oxygen, it has to go over there, carbon dioxide has to come out. So you don't need a wall over there that much. You need a wall as thin as possible. So every respiration, inspiration and expiration, you are able to get the exchange properly. Make sense? So therefore I call that there are two kinds of cells over there. You will learn that it's called pneumocyte 1 and pneumocyte 2. Have you done that? Not done that. So I'll remind that next class. I'm not talking too much because you learn from the histology. There are two kinds of cells. There are many kinds of cells, but over here, I'm talking about the here, over here, over here. The two types of cells, pneumocyte 1, pneumocyte 2. Pneumocyte 1, pneumocyte 2. Pneumocyte 1, I write it over here, pneumocyte. One or 2, pneumocyte 1 or pneumocyte 2. These are the cells are responsible for the gas exchange. This is the number 1. Number 2, and I'm telling you right now, and we'll repeat that later, is called pneumocyte 2, or the cells which produce surfactant. Have you heard the name?
Yes.
Ah, good. Surfactant. What does it do? Expansion. Okay. So we need, and it is biochemically, it's like phospholipid type of product is there. And that is very important for the phospholipid. What does it do? It expands itself. Sometimes the baby is born without the pneumocyte 2. And that can lead to a problem. A baby may die unless you diagnose that. Because the lung is okay, but you need some extra thing to expand. Baby has to expand, because there is a respiratory center. You learn from Dr. Ali. I think he normally teaches, I don't know who is teaching this time. But he will tell you that how the respiratory system is working. Along with the respiratory system, the surfactant also is needed for expansion of the lung on a minute-to-minute basis, on a second-to-second, minute-to-minute, on a daily basis you need. So sometimes the doctors or the parents do not understand why the baby, you feed the baby and then leave the baby in the crib, and next day you see that the baby died. Very unfortunate thing because of this surfactant problem. It has to be diagnosed on the day one when the baby is born. And there are ways to do it. You don't have to worry right now. But what I'm trying to say, the pneumocyte 2 is responsible for the production of the surfactant, which is a phospholipid in origin, and it is responsible for the expansion of the lung. Okay? Absence of that, that's what I'm trying to refer to, will have a problem. We come to that, detailed disease, everything, when you learn, when you're going through the respiratory system a little bit more. Okay? You're still early phase of the respiratory system, so I'm not going to talk about more, except for the fact, just I'm saying there are two kinds of cells present over here. One is called the pneumocyte 1. That is basically the simple squamous epithelium, which is primarily responsible for the gas exchange, and the pneumocyte 2, which is responsible for the production of the surfactant. Clear? Yes. So you must know this kind of thing. So start from the very beginning again. Okay, I'm giving the orientation that the respiratory system starts from the endoderm. You have a pretty good idea about the endoderm. Let me do a little bit more. Can I get a piece of paper one more time? I guarantee I'll return back to you. Okay. I was expecting a little bigger, but it is very inside. Can you see anything? The paper? No.
Doctor.
Why I have to have this? Oh, no, this, thank you. Okay. Now, remember at one point the endoderm was there. Everybody knows the same picture I'm trying to mimic, the same the model I'm trying to mimic. There are three layers should be there on the top: ectoderm, then the mesoderm, and the endoderm. So at one point it will fold. So what we are looking at, the anterior-posterior view. So a line, you can see that. The top one will be like this, so there will be a neural tube, whole story, but it should stay throughout your life actually. It's a must-know information. Mesoderm, we did a lot of story about that the paraxial mesoderm, the intermediate mesoderm, lateral, then it's folding, and the endoderm is at the bottom one, which is folding and forming. Now look at this, endoderm is folding too, right? Now if I do like this, here is the head of the baby, here's the leg, okay? If I cut on the top, if I make a little cross section over here and cross section over here, the two different pictures you can get it. If I make a cross section over here, then the stomach, duodenum and everything will show up. Okay? And they are coming, and the peritoneum is anteriorly, they come from back, and sometimes intraperitoneal, retroperitoneal, we have all the stories. But I'm now trying to mimic over here, which is on the top, because the lung is not in the abdomen. Lung is in the thoracic space. So the same concept is there, the folding is there. There would be somatic mesoderm, there would be the, what is the other mesoderm? Splanchnic mesoderm. Remember, all these things should be here too. Over here also splanchnic mesoderm and the somatic mesoderm. Somatic mesoderm is forming the anterior abdominal wall, the muscle. The splanchnic portion is forming the peritoneum, which is covering it. Is that clear? Yeah. Similarly over here, there will be somatic and there will be splanchnic. Remember, the one which is covering the lung is called pleura. Very good. The somatic part, which is sensory, and is supplied by phrenic. Phrenic.
Yeah.
Did you say phrenic?
Yeah. Yes.
You said something else.
No, phrenic.
Okay. So it is supplied. So it is. So irritation of the pleura. Irritation of the pleura will give you pain. Why? Because it's two things. Because it is somatic in origin and supplied by the phrenic nerve. And the deeper part is the autonomic. It has also visceral layer, but that is attached to the lung. So entire, if I say lung, just the lung parenchyma will be the autonomic, just like heart,
Yep.
autonomic.
Yeah.
But the covering is the somatic. Same thing, you have done that for the heart. The covering is the pericardium, and it is coming from the somatic mesoderm, the other one. So it's very clear to you. So when I say, I don't have to go back to draw it again, but my PowerPoint tells many stories over there. Is that okay for the overall idea of how the lung is developed? Okay? And then I can quickly go through the next part, which is the development of the diaphragm. Before that, if you have any problem, the two questions over here, yes, be loud a little bit.
We know that the phrenic innervates the pleura and the pericardium. So if we have pain.
Oh, very good question. Yeah. So, what she says that, very interesting thing. She says the phrenic nerve is supplying to the pericardium, okay, and also phrenic nerve is supplying to the pleura. It's okay. Now, you are thinking about one nerve, but the nerve has millions of nerve fiber. So, there is special nerve fiber for, it's a one nerve, they're like this, okay. So, some part is going over there, they don't cross talk. If you touch the pericardium, you will get only the problem of the pericardium, not over here.
I mean, how we can differentiate the pain is here or here?
This is another question you are asking. Usually, the pericardial pain, mediastinal pericardial pain, or even there is a mediastinal tumor which is affecting the pleura, the mediastinal pleura, we call mediastinal pleura. They will show in the right side, if the phrenic nerve, if it is a right-sided problem, in the shoulder pain. And the left side is the left shoulder. Why? Because the phrenic nerve is coming from the C3, C4, and C5. Again, the dermatome over here, the 5 is over here. So as if you feel the pain over here for both. So very difficult for the diagnostics purpose, okay? Unless there is a pure CT showing there is a mass which is obstructing the pericardium, or this is but symptom-wise, you are absolutely right that it's difficult to diagnose. Okay. Yes.
So, Dr. First, for her question, the referred pain will be in the same region, right?
Yeah. Refer.
My question: can we say that the baby will be able to breathe by the end of the canalicular stage?
Yeah. That's what is written 26. At the end, you told the right thing. You understood 200%. At the end of means 26 weeks.
By the end of the canalicular
At the 26 weeks, then the terminal sac is the 20. This is the terminal. That means it's terminal means it's done. You are ready. That's the terminal sac stage. I draw it over here. You can call it, but now is the alveolar stage started quite a bit. Okay, it needs and all these things. Remember, your amniotic fluid is needed to grow. Everybody knows that when the baby is inside, baby is drinking fluid. That fluid is nothing but the amniotic fluid. And now is a very good question you asked. So it reminds me something too. Before I start the diaphragm, that still at that stage, the trachea and esophagus are joined.
Yeah.
You understand that? Slowly after that, it will be dissociated. By that time, when it's a 26, it's dissociated already. Okay? But early part, it is still joined together. Remember the tracheoesophageal fistula, because it's possible if it is not detached. But when this lung development is going on, this is possible because of this diverticulum or because of the tracheoesophageal reed. So the connection is maintained. Is that okay? Very good question. So one more time, tracheoesophageal fistula is possible because it is not dissociated from each other. But normally it is dissociated. So 26 weeks is very critical. Okay, it is dissociated by that time, and also the lung is fully developed. At least it is in the terminal stage. Then only the alveolus will start growing, and the baby's alveolus still grow up to 8 years. It's not that our lung is totally complete. When the baby is small, you can understand that. When I say not that. Here is the head, little baby. Okay, I have 2 babies. I know that, the early part, how beautiful the babies, to handle them. but they still grow. So that means the alveolus should grow to, and they grow up to 8 years. So please remember this very important what I wrote it over here. What I wrote. Okay. Now can I start the diaphragm now?
Yes.
And and then I'll go through again as a summary next time through the PowerPoint. This next time I'm not going to draw. Next time I'm going to go through the PowerPoint. Okay. That's my plan. Okay. Let's see. So now my next objective is a diaphragm. And it will take maybe 15 minutes, then we are okay. And I'm on time, so no problem. Diaphragm. By now you understand my G, very special G. Okay, so diaphragm is coming from the 4 sources. First, and I have to write those 4 sources. One is called the, I must use the red color so everybody can see it. So one is called the septum transversum. No, it's not working. Thank you for coming. Septum transversum. I'm going to explain, so it's not critical at all. I'm going to the 4 stage. Four structures are responsible for this. Then second one is called mesentery of esophagus. If quickly you will understand. You have not done diaphragm yet, did you? No, so it will be good. So that's the reason I have to revisit your understanding. Diaphragm is supplied by 2 nerves. And remember, diaphragm is a muscle. It should not be by autonomic nerve. It is a muscle, it's a skeletal muscle. It's a skeletal, diaphragm is a skeletal muscle. It is a muscle. If I say vagus is supplied, is supplying this, flexor carpi ulnaris muscle. Vagus, do I get the full marks or 0 mark or minus mark? Minus mark. Because it is a skeletal muscle, autonomic nervous system has nothing to do with that to start with. Similarly, diaphragm is a skeletal muscle, nothing to do with the vagus or any other sympathetic. No. It is supplied by the phrenic. That's correct. It is also supplied by the intercostal nerve. Have you heard the name intercostal?
Yeah.
That runs between
around that, and you will understand why very quickly. So anyway, let's start it. I told you there are 4 things that you have to know. Remember, number 3. This is important. Underline this pleuroperitoneal fold, peritoneal membrane actually. Membrane. Remember, I will explain it again. So the idea is that just get a little bit. So when I come next time and showing the PowerPoint, it will be absolutely clear. And number 4 is the lateral body wall. Sometimes people don't write the lateral, or you can say body wall. Body wall muscle. It is basically body wall muscle we are talking. So let's do it again. So I'm trying to explain the development of the diaphragm. The most important part is this one. It is actually almost like a half 50% or maybe around 60% of the diaphragm is coming from the septum transversum. And what is that? You can understand that there has to be a demarcation between the thorax and the abdomen, right? So what will happen is from the anterior part, there will be a septum coming to differentiate, but it cannot complete it. So I'm going to draw that. I'm going to draw it. So if I put this is This is not the tube I'm trying to do it. This is the septum, complete septum. You know, the whole thing. The sectional I'm trying to do. Like a, this should be, say this is the diaphragm. Above will be the thorax, and below, and below is the abdomen. This is the one. This is the same thing over here. I put it over here. So think about that way. So now, in my diagram, I said that this one is this septum transversum. Something came out. This is the anterior part. This is the posterior part. Okay, septum transversum is making the whole thing over here. Then, what will happen is that you have the other, you know, like mesentery, the peritoneal. So, what happens is the esophagus is going to the posterior side. So, here you have two parts, something like that is coming. This is the second one. The mesentery of the esophagus. Still empty space over here. That is this is most important. I told you, out of all this thing, you have to underline the pleuroperitoneal membrane. This is the pleuroperitoneal membrane. A different color, I put it over here. It's coming. It's a membrane, pleuroperitoneal membrane. Now, in the diaphragm, adult diaphragm, we do not have the pleuroperitoneal membrane. But if this membrane persists, then it is a weak point. Any membrane is a weak point. Then the abdominal cavity can go to the, that is called hernia. We have a nice cadaver where you can see there is a hernia from the stomach, you know, which is going inside the thoracic cavity. Why? Because the persistence of the pleuroperitoneal membrane. So therefore, in the adult, the pleuroperitoneal membrane should be gone, should be replaced by something, is the body wall. So this becomes the body wall later. Muscle, okay? So this becomes muscle later, and that is the body wall. Now everything is solid. This is a solid because this is the septum transversum. Okay? In the adult, it is called central tendon. I'll put it, write it over there. I'll go back again and again. Okay? So don't worry. Central tendon. Where the phrenic nerve is attached. Phrenic nerve. So phrenic nerve is attached on the central nerve in adult. That is coming originally from septum transversum. This is purely a muscle. It starts with the muscle, skeletal muscle. But it does not cover the entire septum, and it is quickly surrounded by the membrane. And that is called pleuroperitoneal membrane, which is trying to cover it over here. But that is a temporary. It will be replaced by the body wall mass, and that is, you know, replacing it. And I said that if it does not replace properly, then there could be some weak point, and it is called the congenital diaphragmatic hernia. Congenital diaphragmatic hernia is possible if the pleuroperitoneal membrane is not replaced by the body wall. And therefore, you know the lateral body wall, where all the intercostal nerve is there. Intercostal nerve. Have you done the intercostal nerve?
Yes.
You must have done that. You have heard it, intercostal nerve. Intercostal nerve. So it is on the lateral part, okay? It is not inside the body. It is the lateral. So you can understand why the diaphragm has two nerve supply. Phrenic nerve to the central tendon, and is surrounded by the lateral part body wall, which is rest of the thing is covering. Okay? It is called the lateral body wall, or supplied by the intercostal nerve. Is clear? So one more time. One more time. Yes.
Is this whole thing the septum transversum? Or
No,
like
the
the
first
third?
part, the anterior to the
Okay. So what is the nature of the septum? Is it a
Muscle.
muscle? It's a muscle.
As a muscle, skeletal muscle. It starts with the skeleton, like your brachialis or bicep. It starts with that kind of concept. that it is starting with the
So basically the pleuroperitoneal membrane will then be also replaced by the
Exactly.
muscle and the whole thing will become
already
something.
fixed, yeah. So go to my PowerPoint tonight and take a look. I'll explain to that in a nice picture over there. So I'll repeat again. The diaphragm is formed from 4 sources. And the concept is the diaphragm has 2 kinds of nerve supply. The major nerve supply is the phrenic nerve. When the phrenic nerve contracts, a phrenic nerve is stimulated, then the diaphragm contracts and goes downwards. So the thoracic cavity is increased. The thoracic cavity is increased. The pressure falls, goes in the negative. So the outside air can go inside. It has to be negative, otherwise outside air cannot go. So each inspiration, expiration the opposite. Okay? It has to come out. But I'm talking about the inspiration where the diaphragm is contracting and thereby the intrathoracic pressure is decreased because the volume is increased. Whenever the volume is increased, the pressure goes down. It's a normal law. That's exactly happening on a minute to minute. Okay? Normally we have like around 16. Around 16 is the respiratory rate in the adult. Around. In the infant it is a little bit more because their metabolic activity is more. You have done that. So that diaphragm I'm talking about, it is embryologically coming from the 4 sources. The first one is called the septum transversum, which will form in the adult called the central tendon. You will learn that when the diaphragm, when Dr. Atif is going to talk about that, he will talk about central tendon. It is basically septum transversum. It is the skeletal muscle. It is the main component. It is the main component, and where the phrenic nerve is attached. But then it is not complete. It is not. It cannot make the septum complete because it cannot, because it does not have the power to complete. I don't know why we are born like this. This is a mystery to me, that why it did not complete it. I don't know, but it did not, because it is a huge space. You can understand. I can give you explanation. If I say there is only one muscle to complete, we need only 2 muscles, 3 muscles. 1, 2, 3. That's it. This will do like this. This will do like this, and 1, 2, 3. Easy for the student. Easy for us. There are 3 muscles, 3 nerves. Finish. The problem is that we cannot go for a bigger, like one muscle serves the purpose. It does not happen, because we do not have that kind of genetic marker to complete a bigger muscle. We cannot do. It has to be step by step. We cannot produce a very long muscle. Okay, from here to here, 1 muscle. We need 1, 2, and 3. But it does not happen. So we need, the reason is the human beings are controlled by, because we have finer movements. So we need a specialized muscles for special small function, for small movement. But diaphragm does not need probably. So that's the reason I do not have a good explanation, except for the fact I'm saying that the major muscle is the septum transversum or the central tendon, where the phrenic nerve is attached. Then there is a hole there which is quickly replaced by this one called the pleuroperitoneal membrane. I'm not talking too much of the mesentery of the esophagus. You will understand that later. When the mesentery of the esophagus is basically, it is an arch. If you see the city of, if you remember the city of the abdomen, how many students remember? I don't know, but we use the term called crush or crura. Remember the crura or the crush of the diaphragm, which is covering the aorta?
Yeah.
How many students remember? Can you raise your hand? So I have a little bit understanding. Okay, maybe around 30% students remember there is a word, and it is very simple actually, because through the diaphragm, some of the important structures either go out or go in. The go out is the aorta, which is coming from the thorax. It has to go down, so there is a need for a little hole. Now, aorta is an important structure. So when he wants to walk outside, you need a little arch above him. That is called the crush. of the diaphragm. It is a part of the diaphragm. It's a very small structure, but it is like this. The crust is over here. And here is the aorta or some structure. Here is the esophagus. Here is the aorta. So it needs a little arch. But it's a part of the diaphragm. You may ask, it is coming from where? It is coming from the mesentery of the esophagus. So crust of the diaphragm, which is more posteriorly placed, that's what I put it over here. My diagram is absolutely correct. I put it at the end, at the posterior part, telling you that there is a little arch is there. If an important person walks out, you need an arch. You know what is arch? So that arch I'm talking about, it is present at the posterior part. And diaphragm, if I draw now this one properly, I have to give you that because I'm not that bad in drawing. I have a little bit space over here to make you understand what is the diaphragm. Okay, so let me try. Here is your sternum. So let me draw a sternum over here. A little drawing. Here is the sternal angle. So there is a manubrium. And here is the xiphoid process. Is that okay? On the back side, you have the vertebrae. You understand the vertebrae now? So if I have to draw the diaphragm, it is exactly like this. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's the diaphragm with the dome shape. This one is like this. You agree with me?
Yes.
And the heart is present over in the middle. So I can draw the heart like this way. It is sitting over there and it is like this. If I have to draw the esophagus is coming, maybe another color. I don't have any other color, but what should I do? Esophagus looks like this color. Okay. So I put the esophagus going posteriorly. You agree with me?
Yes.
So you need a little arch. The aorta is also posteriorly. So you need an arch over here. That arch I'm talking about. Do you understand my diagram over here? This is the lateral view, where this is anterior and this is posterior. If you still don't understand, maybe I need to put you to the clavicle or the first rib. It will be like this. Is okay now? If you still don't understand that this is the lateral view, then I go further down. Here is the umbilicus. Go back. Here is the leg. Still don't understand? Here is the head. Here is the nose. Here is. It's okay now? Okay, yes. So, yes.
Why are we calling it a mesentery?
Yeah, very good question. Very good question. Why? Let me bring that photograph. You'll understand. Because these are the mesoderm. Some part of the mesoderm is going. It is a loose structure. The mesoderm, which is coming from this flank nape or the visceral mesoderm, they are a little loose structure. So it is a mesentery. But then it becomes solidified to make an arch. But there is no other terminology people can give. Like, what do you want to say there?
I mean, it's an arch, so I
It
would
is an arch. You
never
can
call
state,
it
yeah.
arch.
Yeah, but the arch is formed from because there is no mesentery over here, the reality. There's no, but the loose structure, mesentery over here, the same phenomenon, the same idea is there here.
Doctor, you said at the beginning that septum transversum is muscle.
It's muscle.
Then it forms the central tendon, but the central tendon is fiber. So is the muscle?
It's a muscle. It is a muscle. Muscle fiber. Central tendon is a tendon.
But it's not
No,
contracting,
the
right?
tendon like a muscle has a tendon. The same concept.
But it's not contracting like a muscle.
Oh yeah, yeah, it contracts. Yeah, but this tendon contracts. It has a muscle fiber. If you see the diaphragm,
Yeah.
one of these days see the diaphragm and see by yourself. It doesn't look like a tendon. Only the whitish material in the middle, and it's all are muscle. All are muscle. It is a muscle, skeletal muscle. Okay. So one more time, what I'm trying to show you over here, that this is a dome shape and it is going down a little bit. You know, understand? It's going down. So it starts from here and going up. That is the diaphragm, how it looks like. But it needs some structure to get out. And that is one of them would be aorta, one of them is esophagus. It needs a knot. Therefore, we put that as a mesentery of the esophagus. Good question, why is called mesentery? There is no other terminology we can. Because we want to make sure the abdomen and the lung basically is a similar way it is formed. There is a hole inside. And the hole is only possible if you fold it. Then is a hole over here for the thorax, hole over here, that's the abdomen. On the upper part is the thorax. Is that okay? And in the picture, if you want to see more, that how, I hope I have time. Oh, yeah. 2 minutes left. Okay, so I have to go back at the end. So what I'm saying is over here, that if you think about it, that there will be endoderm over here, which is esophagus, and there will be endoderm over here, which forms the bronchus, 2 bronchi. And then this will be forming the lung, this will be forming the lung. And this is the esophagus going down. But these are all structures coming from the endoderm. Back side is the esophagus, and out by the side of that. For a reason, I'm not showing you the beautiful pictures that you have from your book too. This is beautiful, there's nothing wrong over here. But you need, sometimes the students' channel, I did not understand because of your drawing. Oh, what should I do? Okay, I have the backup for your favorite books or the PowerPoint. Okay, thank you very much.